Hare Krishna everyone, so the archery is going to be in 1 minute. You could all just stand up and then just sing along. We'll start with the Guru Pranam and the Pancha Tattva, and then after that the Maha Mantra.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama,
So, from
Rama
where?
Rama,
Where?
Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama
Where?
Rama, Hare Hare.
Underneath.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Thank you
Krishna,
so
Hare
much
Hare.
for the
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
I find to look through for a little bit. Oh, no. Because it's a special one. It's a special one. My cousin passed away, so I just like, honestly, I know. I was such a time I saw, what is it? Every night, the hang of my back. It's a suspicious thing. Very, very so I'm sorry to hear that. Was he suffering? How's your mum?
they'll come now. He'll come now. Yeah, you can sit on this side. He'll come now. Thank you. What if you can sit here? Thank you. He'll come now. I'm just finishing something.
Yeah, no worries. Hare Krishna. Sit next to me.
Ryan said, yeah, but you don't want me. We're not playing.
You know what he's going to give you blessings. You are good.
Yeah, they're coming.
Look, the mathematics speak are very soft and always picking off now.
Would you like the Chila on the baby? This model? Yeah, I can do it if you want. Some, you know, I can do it for you, yeah?
Yeah, but just, thank you.
That's all right.
Yeah, he's doing some Latina.
You could get it as well.
Yeah, please.
I'll do you in first, yeah?
Yeah,
It's all right. It's only dry. They're pretty dry. The baby already, right? They won't harm. And you?
yeah.
You do it.
All right. One more thing. Wait, yeah? Guess you might want to get a photo because this is a special help from the Lord. So, yeah, if you stand over there with your camera.
Of course, yeah. Samit, look here, baby. Samit, look here, baby. I mean, Ryan, look here, baby. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Good, very nice.
All right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Got it? Yeah?
Thank you.
You're next.
You wear the hat right here.
Oh, look, it's small. Lovely.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Thank you. Just put them in the box.
Hare Krishna. All right?
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
What's his name? All right.
Thank you very much.
What's his name?
Noah.
Noah. Lovely. Oh, nice one.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very kind of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Look at you, you're a lucky boy. You're a lucky boy. And you're a lucky boy as well. You're a lucky boy as well. Are you holding it right, honey? No.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Yeah. You just go and have some prasad. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, one more.
One more. Ryan, smile. But then we are going to.
Look at Mr. Mommy.
Here, here, baby.
Look at Mr. Mommy.
Ryan.
Please, can we go and play? Can I play with you?
Ryan, this way. Ryan. Cheese.
So cheese one more.
Cheese one more.
Cheese one more. Oh, Mr. Mommy taking photos.
You look at Ditiba. Look at Ditiba. Ryan, smile. Otherwise Ditiba won't take you.
You want to
Ryan,
play the T-Buzz house tonight? Smile, quickly.
come on, smile.
Picture Ryan. Say cheese.
Oh, I think you want to go to a
Yeah.
thing, huh?
Say
Come on,
cheese.
yeah.
Don't hold any
Yeah,
longer.
yeah, Baba. Yeah, come on. Ah, baby. Ah,
Krishna Vandeham.
What can I do for you?
I want my parents blessed.
What? Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
When's
that happening?
How do you
Huh? Sunday. You were talking to my wife the other day, isn't it? Huh? I'll come there, yeah. It's all right, Mum. That's true, that's true, that's true. I like it. I'll leave them for a few, a minute. All right, extra potency. Yeah, yeah. You're not in a hurry, are you?
do I still say? Okay, Hare Krishna, everyone. We're going to start the Bhagavad Gita class. So, yeah, we're going to start and then it'll end around 6:50, 6:55. And yeah, is it close? Okay. If you'd like a Bhagavad Gita, we can get you one. Would you like a Bhagavad Gita? You're okay? And okay. Okay, so we start with Radha Madhava. If you know the words, please sing along. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. So today we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse 50. And we'll now read the Sanskrit line by line. And then after I've read one line, if you can all repeat, we can do it together. So it's 11:50. Do you want to? Okay, and you know about Veda base? Yeah, okay. Okay. So it's 11:50. Sanjaya Vacha Iti Arjunam Vasudevasthathokva Swakam Rupam Darshayam Ashabhuyaha Ashvashyam Ashachabhitam Menam Bhutva Punah Somya Vapur Mahatma. Iti Arjunam Vasudevasthathokva Swakam Rupam Darshayam Ashabhuyaha Ashvashayam Ashachabhitam Menam Bhutva Punah Somya Vapur Mahatma. Okay, we'll read it once more. So I'll just do the Sanskrit line by line, and then you just repeat after. Yeah. Okay. Iti Arjunam Vasudevasthathoktva Swakam Rupam Darshayam Ashabhuyaha Ashvashayam Ashachabhitam Menam Bhutva Punah Somya Vapur Mahatma. Would anyone like to try? Iti Arjunam Vasudevasthathoktva Swakam Rupam Darshayam Ashabhuyaha Ashvashayam ashachapitamenam Bhutva punah somyavapur mahatma. Anyone else? That's okay.
You can find it on database. Just put AG1150 and it shows up. I can try it.
You want to try? Okay, go ahead. Yeah. Sanjaya Uvacha Iti Arjunam Vasudevastathoktva Swakam Rupam Darshayamasha Bhuyaha Ashvashayamasha Chabhitamenam Bhutva punah somyavapur mahatma. It's okay? Hare Krishna. So we have Bhagavad Gita class right now. You can sit and listen if you'd like. Yeah? Thank you. Swakam rupam darshayam bhuyaha Ashvashayam ashachapitamenam Bhutva punah somyavapur mahatma. Okay, thank you. And now we'll do the synonyms. So I'll read the Sanskrit and then the English, and then just repeat after me, please. So Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya said. Iti. Thus. Arjunam. Unto Arjuna. Vasudevaha. Krishna. Tatha. In that way. Uktva. Speaking. Swakam. His own. Rupam. Form. Darshayam asha. Showed. Bhuyaha. Again. Ashvashayam asha. Encouraged. Cha. Also. Vitam. Fearful. Inam. Him. Bhutva. Becoming. Punaha. Again. Somya. Vapu. The beautiful form. Mahatma. The Great One. Okay, and now translation. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, having spoken thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form and at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When Krishna appeared as a son of Vasudeva and Devaki, he first of all appeared as four-armed Narayana, but when he was requested by his parents, he transformed himself into an ordinary child in appearance. Similarly, Krishna knew that Arjuna was not interested in seeing a four-handed form, but since Arjuna asked to see this four-handed form, Krishna also showed him this form again, and then showed himself in his two-handed form. The word Somya Vapu is very significant. Somya Vapu is a very beautiful form. It is known as the most beautiful form. When he was present, everyone was attracted simply by Krishna's form. And because Krishna is a director of the universe, he just banished the fear of Arjuna, his devotee, and showed him again his beautiful form of Krishna. In the Brahma Samhita 538, it is stated, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. Only a person whose eyes are smeared with the ointment of love can see the beautiful form of Sri Krishna. We'll now say Mangalacharan, so if you know it, please say it with me. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurur Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamsra He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha kalpatarubhischa kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I'll just read the translation once more. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, having spoken thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form and at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. So this chapter 11 is entitled The Universal Form, and it's where Krishna finally shows Arjuna his universal form. The reason two main reasons I was reading he showed Arjuna is because first he was non-envious of Arjuna, of Krishna, and he was his very dear friend. And in this text we can see that Arjuna is very fearful, and we're just going to go into that a little more. So you could say Arjuna was right next to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was right next to Krishna, and still he was experiencing this fear. So he's very fearful despite being in the closest proximity to Krishna, to God. And it's interesting because how can you be right next to Krishna and still experience things like fear, like mental disturbances? And it's just a lesson for us. So it shows us that it's not enough to just be close to God in proximity, but one must be close to God by hearing from him. We come to the temple, especially I remember when I was younger, we used to come to the temple so much and would be very close to Krishna in one sense, very close to the deities, but that's not really coming close to Krishna. That's not going to solve any of our problems. There's no understanding. You only really understand Krishna is when we hear from him. So Arjuna was fearful, but he still surrendered because he had this faith. And faith is what we need to begin our spiritual journey. And that's the only price we really have to pay. All we need is a little bit of faith, and then Krishna just takes care of the rest. And in Nectar of Instruction, it says that there are 9 processes of devotional service, of which the first is hearing, so Shravanam. So it's really emphasized there that we really have to hear from Krishna, hear from his representatives. We're very lucky, we have Srila Prabhupada, who is a representative of Krishna, and he's given us all these books. And they're basically transcendental gifts from Krishna. And we just need to wholeheartedly accept them and really hear what Krishna has to say. Try not become our own obstacles or our own block in hearing what he has to say. And it's emphasized more because the Gita is basically like a sandwich. You could say the first 6 chapters, 1 to 6, and the last 6 are like the bread of the sandwich, and the middle is where the real content is, the real juice. And the real content, I guess, chapter 7 begins when Krishna says to Arjuna, now really hear what I have to say. So it's this hearing which we need to really develop. But, one may ask, how do we hear? And it's really with attention. Anyone can hear anything. We hear things consciously, subconsciously, even unconsciously sometimes, but it's really with attention that we need to hear. And when we really hear with attention, when we hear from Krishna with attention, we really do come closer to him. When we really take it to heart what he has to say, we come closer to him. And this is also what deepens our chanting. But also, how can we hear? Where do we hear from? So at the temple, Prabhupada set up a morning program. We have classes we can attend. We have lectures we can hear. We go to Kirtan. We can hear the glories of the Lord, his pastimes, his qualities. And all of this is there to really, help us understand who Krishna is. But then, why would we need to hear? And it's because, how can you get to know anyone without hearing about them? Someone can tell you, yeah, Krishna is amazing, or just tell you the God is Krishna, but then you'll be like, okay, tell me more. How can you know about Krishna without knowing anything about him? And so hearing is really important because it's what elevates our consciousness. Hearing is what feeds our intelligence. So if we're not hearing from Krishna, and we're just coming to the temple, and we're having these expectations that, oh, Krishna, please solve this problem of mine, solve that problem of mine, then it's not going to work like that. Because if we're approaching Krishna and not hearing from him, but we're having these expectations, then that means the relationship we have with Krishna is a transactional one. We expect one thing from him. We're like, okay, I'll do this for you if you do this for me. But there's no love in that relationship. So we really shouldn't have expectations from Krishna. And it's actually much more beautiful when we don't have expectations, because if we have less expectations, then we're able to appreciate more. We're able to appreciate more of what he does for us, and everything he does is for us. He doesn't do anything to us. It's more for us. He helps facilitate us in our journey back to him. So when we appreciate more, we're able to see everything as a gift from Krishna. We're able to see his hand in everything. We see his mercy. And when we're able to appreciate the small things, that's when life becomes much more simpler. And this is what really fills our heart with love and joy. And he says in chapter 9, verse 26, if one offers me with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. It's so simple. He just wants our love. He's not asking for large amounts of money or even, something like a fancy car which you can't afford. He just wants a leaf, flower, fruit, or water, but he just wants it with love and devotion. It's that simple, but sometimes we overcomplicate it, and there's no need to overcomplicate it. Just trust the process and trust Krishna. And an example of a fearless devotee I was reflecting a few days ago is Prahlad Maharaj. We celebrated the appearance day of Lord Nrsimhadev on Sunday, and there was a drama in the Haveli. The little kids were acting the story out, and if you look at Prahlad, he's a very little boy, and he's completely fearless. He was in a situation where his father was ready to kill him, and his father actually said, because you are speaking so much nonsense, I shall now sever your head from your body. And I was just reflecting, this little boy is in this situation. Imagine putting yourself in that situation where your father's like, I'm about to kill you. And he had no fear. He had no fear at all. He just prayed to the Lord because he had that much unflinching faith in the Lord's protection. Oftentimes, when we're really young, or even small things like our father or mother gets really angry at us, or even if they get slightly angry, we become really fearful. And we become fearful because we know we're taking shelter from them. But once we come to the understanding, and once we surrender and say to Krishna that you're my eternal mother and father, You know, there's a bhajan and it says, Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dana Pran. Krishna is my mother, Krishna is my father, and Krishna is the treasure of my life. Then once we understand that Krishna really is my mother and father, we won't feel fearful or lonely in this world because we have someone to turn to who really loves us so much. And Prahlad is the best example of this. He's such an exalted devotee. He's an example we need to learn from. I still can't wrap my head around that. He was in a situation where his father was about to kill him, and he still just prayed to the Lord. It's amazing. But in Arjuna's case, if we look a few verses later, once Krishna has showed him his full form, he actually says, I am now composed in mind, and I am restored to my original nature. And he's composed in mind now, all the way in chapter 11, he finally says, I'm composed in mind. And it's because he's fully heard and fully seen from the Lord. We, as devotees, need to be very careful with fear. I can speak for myself, because fear is one thing that corrupts our intelligence. And intelligence... Shri Shri Radha Gokunanda ki jai, Shri Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Intelligence is our ability to understand, and we need this understanding, or in fact this intelligence to understand Krishna. And we should be careful because fear is the only thing that will really slow us down in our spiritual progress. You could be at the stage of bhava bhakti and still, if you still have fear at that stage, then your progress will be slowed down. And it's because from fear, doubts will arise, and doubts can only take us so far in our spiritual life. But from this verse, there's hope. Sanjaya says, Ashvashayam Asha, which means that Krishna is giving reassurance. He knows that Arjuna is fearful, but because he's his dear friend, he gives him a reassurance. He doesn't look at Arjuna's fear and say, okay, I'm not going to show you this form, or I'm going to stop, and, he doesn't do any of that. And it's because they're friends, and friendship means there's care. As we build our relationship with Krishna, he really starts to look out for us. And there's so many incarnations of his which we can take shelter of. If we struggle to go directly to Krishna, we can go to, for example, Lord Nrsimhadev we worshipped, prayed to last week. We have Gauranathai, who are the most merciful. We have Prabhupada, gurus as well. So we're really not alone. And in the purport of this verse, it also says, Krishna just banished the fear of Arjuna. So, Krishna has the ability to even, destroy fear in his devotees. Okay, and then we'll move on. So in the purport as well, it says, Somya Vapu is a very beautiful form. The word Somya Vapu is very significant. Somya Vapu is a very beautiful form. It is known as the most beautiful form. When he was present, everyone was attracted simply by Krishna's form, and because Krishna is the director of the universe, he just banished the fear of Arjuna, his devotee, and showed him again this beautiful form of Krishna. So Krishna himself, his name means all attractive. We can either choose to see Krishna through the eyes of fear or the eyes of love. When we see Krishna through the eyes of love, we're able to see his hand in everything. We're able to see everything as mercy. Even when things don't seem to be going in our direction or life doesn't seem to be going the way we want, even in that situation we're able to see, okay, this is Krishna's hand. He's surely protecting me from something which even I don't know. Sometimes even in life we don't realize how much we're being protected from. we could be in a much worse situation than we are right now. So we really need to fill ourselves with gratitude, make it a daily practice. Because when we are grateful, we're able to appreciate everything that Krishna does for us. And when Krishna came to Vrindavan, everyone was attracted to him. And it's because of his beautiful form, we can say. But even nowadays, everyone is still attracted to him in one way or another. We just don't realize it. Preaching has so many different methods. We can go on Harinam, we can go on book distribution, Sankirtan. And you may find that when you do Harinam, only some people are attracted. When you give out books, some people are not so attracted to the method. They might be like, no, stop wasting my time. What are you doing? Go away. Or you might be distributing prasad and there's a whole line of people ready to have some. It's all just different ways people are attracted to Krishna. But, once we're able to see through the eyes of the spiritual lens, then we can really see that, okay, this is an attraction for Krishna. Yeah, so it's really beautiful. And then the last part of this purport actually quotes something from Brahma Samhita. So it says, in Brahma Samhita 538, it is stated, Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. Only a person whose eyes are smeared with the ointment of love can see the beautiful form of Sri Krishna. So the emphasis on smeared with the ointment of love. Now, what's an ointment? An ointment is literally something you just put over your skin when you need to cure a disease or something. We're literally right now in the disease condition of life, and our only cure is awakening this dormant love for Krishna again. And we're lucky because we're still in Lord Chaitanya's Leela, and he descended to show us that, this love can be awakened through Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy names. And if we're not able to love Krishna, then we'll never be able to see him or understand him. When we first come to the process, we really want to see Krishna. We're like, where is Krishna? I can't see him. But it's a work in process. We still need to develop this love for him. And the purport, actually, from Brahma Samhita for this particular verse says, the form of Sri Krishna is the full personality of Godhead and can only be visible in the heart of a true devotee. And then later it says, the eye of devotion is nothing but the eye of the pure, unalloyed spiritual self of the jiva. So our devotion for Krishna must be pure. It shouldn't have any material contamination. But what does material contamination mean? It means we have all these material desires. It means we're still praying to Krishna, but on the side we're like, oh, I still want this material thing. I still want that thing. So our devotion becomes mixed. But if our devotion is mixed, then we don't have the eye of devotion. It must be unalloyed devotional service. An alloy is basically a metal which actually has different metals inside, and it's all mixed together. So it's not in its purest state. But we need to develop unalloyed devotional service for the Lord. And later in the same purport it says, the form of Krishna is visible to the eye in proportion to its purification by the practice of devotion. So we really need to saturate ourselves with devotion. And I'm just going to read that again. The form of Krishna is visible to that eye in proportion to its purification by the practice of devotion. So only by devotional service can one's heart become purified in order to see the form of Krishna. And when there's devotion, that means there's love. Prema bhakti, loving service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the mornings when we're offering prayers to our spiritual master, and spiritual master is actually, it's the mercy of the spiritual master that we're able to carry out, devotional service for the Lord. So in the mornings we sing Prema Bhakti Jaya Hoite Avidya Vinashayate. Wherever there's Prema Bhakti, loving service unto Krishna, Avidya, ignorance, Vinashayate, is completely destroyed. So all we need to cultivate is loving service for Krishna, and then he does the work for us. Ignorance is completely destroyed. He takes care of the rest. So when we really love, when we really mean it from the heart, love becomes selfless. Love means we're ready to serve, we want to serve. But we should try and get to the stage of spontaneous devotional service, where, in the morning, when your alarm goes off at 3:45, you're not like, ugh, I can't be bothered. You're like, yes, let's get up and go, and you're excited. There's this enthusiasm within you, within your heart. That's what we need to try and cultivate. Love is selfless because when we put Krishna at the center, we do all our services, our acts, all with the aim of pleasing Him and not us. When we're doing it with the aim of pleasing ourselves, to satisfy our own senses, then that becomes lust. But we need to start really, reflecting and seeing, are we really doing what we're doing? Am I really doing it for myself? Because, let's be honest, we can be a bit selfish at times. Or am I really doing this for Krishna? And you'll know when He really loves you, because sometimes you'll be in the temple room and you might be all the way at the back. It might be a temple room packed with devotees, and you can just about see the deity of Krishna, but when you see Him, it really feels like He only loves you. But it doesn't matter how many devotees there are, because it doesn't matter. When you see Him and He sees you, it really does feel like He only loves you. And that's because, you've started purifying your heart. You're no longer envious of other devotees. There's no longer this jealousy that, Krishna's giving them more attention but not me. That gets completely destroyed. But what does this purification of the heart really mean? And also in the purport, before I go on to that, the purport says the phrase "in their hearts." So before it said, Krishna is only visible in the heart of a true devotee. And then it says the phrase "in their hearts" means Krishna is visible in the proportion as their hearts are purified by the practice of devotion. So earlier I said this isn't a transactional relationship. When we take one step towards Krishna, He doesn't take one towards us, He takes many. And that's because He really loves us. He really wants us back home with Him. So yeah, in terms of visible in proportion as our hearts are purified. So how do we purify our heart? How do we start the process of purification? So we've already taken to the process. Purification really means cleaning the anarthas that come up. So anarthas, to me, it was the 6 enemies of the mind. So illusion, anger, lust, envy, greed, and pride. When we start doing japa, when we start chanting, all these anarthas start coming up, and you're like, and you start feeling them. You're like, you start noticing things about you which you hadn't known about yourself before. But the aim is to transform them all into appreciation, selfless protection, reality, generosity, humility, and love. Anarthas are basically like, you can see they're more deeply embedded in your subtle body. So you have your conscious mind, subconscious and unconscious. And the ones which are really deeply rooted in your unconscious mind, so if you could see them as bubbles. The bigger the bubbles they are, the quicker they come up to the surface. So all these things like illusion, anger, envy, they all come up to the surface, and then once they come to the surface, use your intelligence to transform them. If you find that you're experiencing like anger or envy, speak to like seniors or your mentors, see how you can go about transforming them into this appreciation, love, and humility. And I wanted to talk more about, so when these anarthas do come up, like anger and envy, if they're coming up towards other devotees, if you're feeling really jealous or really angry or envious of other devotees, we really need to see that this devotee, they're a devotee because they're very dear to Krishna. Once you see it through that lens that, okay, this person is really dear to Krishna, then it's so much easier to let go of the envy, the jealousy. You won't feel so tempted to become like envious towards them anymore. Instead, you'll start glorifying them, because if we are envious towards a devotee who's very dear to Krishna, then Krishna won't be happy, and that's the last thing we want to do. So again, how can we purify our hearts? So it's, for me, I love it when devotees say it's through the mercy of Lord Chaitanya that we can do this, because he's the only one who can really soften our steel-framed hearts. In Shikshashtakam, he teaches us that it's only the Sri Krishna Sankirtana movement, so the chanting of the holy names, that cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life. So the holy name is so powerful, and it's the holy name because it's a name it's the only name that's able to pull out our temporary self and draw out the real self. And again, even in the 9 processes of devotional service and nectar of instruction, chanting is one of the top ones. I think it's the 3rd one. But it's so important that, we are chanting with love and attention. And again, hearing was the first. Are we really hearing these holy names in the morning, or is our mind somewhere else? Because you are where your mind is. So when you're chanting, try and not let the disturbances of your mind get in the way. So it cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years. So this dust, if you have a mirror and you have dust on it, then no matter how bright of a light you shine on it, you're not going to get the same reflection back. So we really need to start cleaning the dust in our heart. And everything we read, these books we read, the kirtans we sing, everything is pure. Everything is pure. The only thing that isn't pure is our hearts, unfortunately. So we really need to, start purifying ourselves because, like it says in the purport, Krishna is visible in proportion as their hearts are purified by the practice of devotion. So it's through devotion only that we can purify our hearts. And then later on he says, so this is Lord Chaitanya, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings. So a holy name alone is all we need. It's enough to render all benediction to living beings. And then the best part is where he says, in these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. So we're getting the whole package here. The holy names, they have all of Krishna's energy. So if we're really chanting and meditating on this, if we're really reflecting that, oh my gosh, these names have Krishna's energy in them, then we're able to connect to it better, we're able to respect it more, and we're really able to take it to heart. And the more we understand the process of chanting, the more, the less inclined we will be to things that our mind says when we're chanting. And then again, he continues, he says, "O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names. but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. So Krishna is so kind that he's just given us his holy names for the small price of faith. Faith is all we need. And it's mercy only, really, that that lets us approach Krishna by his holy names. But we are unfortunate because I can speak for myself that I don't have attraction for them, because even when we're chanting in the morning, we really need to reflect and ask: Are we really begging? Are we really begging to see Krishna? Are we really begging for his mercy? Do we really want to see him? Or are we just chanting because everyone else in the room is chanting? Did we just bring my bead bag because, everyone else does it and I need to do it as well? No, it's because we really want to see him. We really want to develop this or reawaken our relationship with him. But why should we beg? Because by begging we become humble, and it's only when we have a humble heart that you can enter into the realm of prema. So when we're chanting, the holy name descends, and it's there to annihilate all the miscreants in our heart. So this is another way we can purify our hearts. Although it can seem quite strict, or that you need a pure heart to see Krishna, it's not. He's so kind that he tells us in Bhagavad Gita. He says, "Su sukham kartum avyayam." Devotion is actually joyfully performed. There's no need to be fearful. There's no need to worry if you're doing this right or that right. Just give it your best, because he just wants to see the endeavor. He just wants to see the sincerity. He doesn't care what the outcome of the service is. He just wants us to try. So even when we're here in the morning during Mangalarti, just look at Krishna and be like, I'm here. Don't look around and be like, oh, who's late? Did they make it? Oh, I made it before you. Don't do it just for that tick on the sheet. Do it because you're really there for him. Because when you really give yourself to Krishna, he gives himself fully to you. And in the Nectar of Instruction, the last point I'll make really quickly is it goes into the 6 loving exchanges. So in this relationship with Krishna and his devotees, actually, because when we please the devotees, we ultimately please Guru, and then we ultimately please Krishna. So the only thing is, why everyone in the world performs the 6 loving exchanges. We all exchange gifts. We all feed each other, I guess. But what's different when devotees do it? It's different because we do it with Krishna in the center. It's real love. It's not a transactional one. It's not for ourselves. It's not just for show. It's not temporary, because if it was, then that would be lust. That's why we have to be really careful not to fall into the traps of Maya and become lustful. But really, if you feel like you're forgetting Krishna, then just try and bring him back into the center of everything you're doing. And this way you'll also have deep, meaningful relationships with the people around you, with the devotees, seniors also, and ultimately with Krishna. So I think that's everything I had to say. It was a lot, but if there's anything, if there's one thing you could take away, is just try your best in devotional service. Just give your whole heart to it. Forget what the mind has to say, because the mind is the mind. It will go crazy. Mine went crazy before giving class. I was so scared. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this. But then, you just have to take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. And Jagat Priya was sharing with me today that when you remember Lord Chaitanya's and Lord Nityananda's lotus feet, then even the hardest things become really easy. But when you forget, the easiest thing becomes really, really difficult. So, yeah, just remember to try your best and leave the rest to Krishna. That's all. Hare Krishna. Do we want to do questions? I think we have 2-3 minutes. Yeah. It's okay, I'll repeat it. I'll just repeat it, yeah.
You say that sometimes our best changes from day to day. So if you're going through something, your best is going to look different. So when it comes to the energy of anger, let's say you're trying your best and you're doing your best, and you're not necessarily giving that energy, but you're receiving it. So how does one handle that situation?
So on a day-to-day basis, you're not giving anger. You're not giving anger.
We have to be careful to not give anger to other devotees. But what if
You're receiving. You're on the receiving end of anger.
You're doing your best, but it doesn't look like your best to them? So how does one handle that energy? Like, do you just step away?
Yeah. So.
Because there's a saying, don't add fuel to the fire, right? So I just kind of like step away.
Yeah. Firstly, use your intelligence. So, of course, read Bhagavad Gita, because Bhagavad Gita is the intelligence. Use your intelligence to discriminate in the situation. It's not wrong to discriminate. Judging the devotee or whoever you're getting this anger from would be wrong. But, learn to discriminate. Ask yourself, is it going to facilitate my Krishna consciousness if I step away from this situation or this person or whoever it is? Or is it going to facilitate my Krishna consciousness if I, for whatever reasons, continue? Or if it is a lot of anger coming your way and you're not able to move away from the situation, then even in the worst of situations, you can just turn it to Krishna and turn it into a prayer. You can pray for the devotees or whoever it is. But it can be really hard, especially anger, because it can really manifest in the body as well. Unless anyone wants to add anything on receiving. Is that okay? I don't think. Okay.
You mentioned Bhagavad Gita is like a sandwich.
Yeah.
And the first chapters are the bread.
Verse 6 and last
Can you
6.
help understand the chapters which are butter and cheese?
We're actually studying them right now. We just started. So when I say bread, I don't mean they're completely dry. They're there to. It means more like a support system. It's there to hold it in place. Yeah, like a cushion. So the middle 6, it's really where Krishna starts to talk about his opulence, his most confidential information, his knowledge, and it's not knowledge like you're the body, you're the soul. It's knowledge which is the secret of all secrets. So, does that answer your question? What else did you?
Yeah, I guess my question was kind of how would you interpret it as your favorite? Like, what tells you that is the kind of like the bread and the butter part of it? How do you identify that?
How do you identify it? It's when. It's when you read it. It's when you really read it with your whole heart and you try and see. It's hard to explain, but
Is it just everybody's taught that? Okay,
Everyone's-
the main part is 7 till.
no, it's not
Is
because
it when
it's
you read it
taught.
yourself, you go, no, actually, I think number 5 is.
Yeah, as in you do connect to different chapters personally, but this is more like a structure. Like, for example, some people do like, for example, chapter 3. They connect to it more better than, for example, chapter 7. Okay, we're gonna end there. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna everyone. So we are going to offer the evening aarti. You will find the text here on the right hand side top corner. Ye Varaya Jaya Gaurachane Arati Kasava He Vajaya Jaya Gaurachane Arati Kasava Janare Tatavane Jagamanaloga Janare Tatavane
Saraswati Advaita Dada Dada Sivasari Gora Bhaktivedanta Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Radha Gokula Nanda Shri Radhe Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Gauranika Jaya Gauranika Gauranika Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada So now we can offer our obeisances by bowing down, or if it's not possible, then by folding our hands. And you can repeat Jai after. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivakacharya Asata Shishimat His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulanda Bhagavan Ki Ganga Maya Ki Jai, Yamuna Maya Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Vinda Devi Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Bhaktivedanta Manor Dham Ki Jai, Gaura Premananda, Harinam Sankirtan Yaga Ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Glories to Sri. Now we can remain seated and offer one more prayer to Lord Nrsimhadev. Namaste Narasimhaya. Paladaladaine. Hiranyakashipu Vakshaha. Shila Tankana Kalaye. Hitanishimo Paratanishimo Yato Yato Yamikato Nishimo Maya Nishimo Hiraya Nishimo Narasimham Harim Sharanam Papade Tavakara Kamalavare Nakaham Hatutta Shingam Lalita Hiranya Kashipu Anubringam Keshavadita Narahari Rupukaha Dayagadisha Hare Dayagadisha Hare Dayagadisha Hare Avakara Kamalavare Dalita Keshavareta Narari Rupa
Cristianity